All right, today we're going to look at different types of pocket knives and figure out what is the best knife for you to carry in your pocket. So today we're going to discuss the humble pocket knife, a knife that one would keep in their pocket. What makes a good pocket knife? What are the criteria you should use to evaluate a pocket knife so you could carry the best possible pocket knife? What we're going to consider is true pocket knives, so knives that are a knife, only have knives. If they have other attachments, they're multi-tools, we're not talking about those, and no other ways to carry. So nothing on the handle that would allow you to clip it to a pocket or attach it elsewhere. It is a knife that goes in your pocket. And that's what we're going to discuss. We're going to rate them on three criteria. Criteria number one is the versatility and ease of carry. So does it go in every pocket? Can it only go in small pockets? Can it only go in large pockets? Can you put it in a vest pocket just as easily as a pants pocket? Is it going to disappear in there and be very easy to carry? That is number one, pocket. Okay. Number two, it is knife. Can it do small knife things? What are small knife things? Well, the most important small knife thing is the ability to cut sections off of an apple and eat them off the blade while dispensing wisdom to those younger than you. That is the main reason that anyone carries a knife, right? Second is its ability as a package opener. Okay, because basically food and packages are what we're using knives for 90% of the time. Third one, we're going to say, and this is really going to be a good rating of the various functions of the blade, is the ability to do small carving and whittling. If you had to, fashion, something at a cap site or somewhere, just do little notching on something. So it's basically, can you use the blade this way, this way effectively? And if the answer is yes, that's going to be more points than if the answer is no. So pocket is kind of one criteria. Knife is one criteria. The third one is going to be something that we're going to call utility. Are there things about the knife that give you other uses for it? Is there's something about the handle, could be used as a glass breaker or self-defense tool or something like that. Doesn't have an actual tool on there, but a way that you can use it in another way can give it some other points. So what we'll do is we'll dive into these different knives. We're just going to look at representative knives from the class. We're not going to say that we're looking at the Cold Steel this or the Kershaw that or anything like that. We're going to look at kind of the type of knife, decide what is the best type of knife, and then that way we can go out and buy a really nice one of the right type instead of a really nice one of the wrong type. So let's jump in. So let's talk about this knife that was in my hand. To begin with, this is a single-bladed, just a regular locking, folding pocket knife. There's really nothing special about this knife. I think I got this knife at a gun show. It came in a set with various knives that had this style of handle. I think there's like a fixed knife and whatnot. The blade is just some stainless china. It's nothing fancy. Does have the serrations here, which I kind of enjoy having access to serration. As far as its ability to go in a pocket, it's not too bad in terms of size. It's a little bit thicker than I think it needs to be. So maybe we'll give it a 4 out of 5. I could get this in most pockets, but it's thick enough, it's weighty enough that it's probably not going to disappear, I would say, in there. As far as small knife tasks, could I cut some food? Could I cut an apple, into sections effectively? 100%. Easily do that. Could I open boxes? Yes. And could I do, various whittling, tasks with this? Yes. I think this is a blade of about this size is going to be perfect for all your small knife tasks. I would say that's going to be a 5 out of 5. I couldn't ask for very much more out of blade. Utility, there's no real, other things that I can do with it. It's not like large enough to use as like, a Kobaton or anything like that. I could, try to do, fist pack or joint manipulation if we're thinking self-defense applications. It's not, sturdy enough to knock as a hammer. It does provide a pretty decent weight that if I needed to pry with this knife, I probably could do a little bit of prying. So utility, it's not good. It's not bad. We'll call that 3 out of 5 for this one. So starting off pretty solid with this knife. So let's consider the Humble box cutter or utility knife here. This is a knife that I think is just in a lot of people's pockets. I've had at various times jobs where I used one of these all the time. So it was in my pocket all the time at work. And therefore, when I wasn't at work, it was usually still in my pocket. So it's a knife that you just might have. Now, does it kind of meet the requirements of a pocket knife? And is it a good pocket knife? Well, first and foremost, it is pretty big. Okay. It's not going to fit in all pockets. You know, it doesn't have that versatility. As far as the blade goes, you know, you're not going to find something that's much better at opening pocket packages, right? But you're not going to eat slices of an apple. And although this handle is very nice and gives us some different length and can give us some grip, the blade really isn't of a quality that's going to stand up to, you know, carving and whittling tasks. So, you know, size-wise, versatility to carry that pocket, it's going to be a 1, right? It's just too big. The blade, we'll give that a 2 because, you know, you can do some of those tasks and you can open and break down boxes really well. It's just not gonna be as serviceable as another type of knife. And then as far as utility, it is called a utility knife. And, you know, you could use it as a Kobaton, but really the main feature that's going to give it an extra point in that utility is the fact that you can replace the blade very easily on something like this. So being able to, you know, just switch out to a new blade is pretty nice. So we'll give it a 3 in terms of utility. So knives like this, basically folding knives that you would think would either should have a pocket clip, or maybe the pocket clip broke off or you've taken it off and they end up in a pocket. These knives for your small knife tasks, and this one, look at this thing. This thing, we're not going to consider that one. This one is, I think it came with some other stuff. So let's look at the nicer one. This guy here. It's got that assisted open even. A little bit too big to fit into most pockets. Not quite as big as the utility knife, but it's still big. You know, we'll give that a 2 on the carry. Blade though is wonderful because this blade is really, you know, it's a full, you know, folding knife blade. It's a little bit bigger than most of the ones we're going to consider. It locks. I could eat slices of an apple. I could break down a box, you know, and I could definitely use this knife in a variety of ways. It's got a good thickness there. So where it loses there, you know, we'll give that blade a full score, you know. So give it a 5 on the access to the blade. This is a nice blade. But when it comes to utility, you know, it's like the utility knife, I guess. It is big enough that we could do some manipulations with it, but that size really limits it. And we're not carrying a knife in our pocket as a self-defense knife. So really on utility, it's a 2. You know, if you're going to carry one of these, this is a great knife to carry. I like this knife a lot. Just, you know, keep the clip on it and clip it to your pocket. It's a much better carry style. Let's consider these two together because they're basically what we would call, like, you know, mini knives, really small knife. This one's a, you know, a little folder. It does have a locking mechanism, which is nice. This one's just a little X-Acto blade, you know, so it unleashes the blade there, comes out, comes in. These are fine to open packages. But really, the size of the blade, you reach an area where it's just too small to effectively do too much. I could cut down an apple with this a little bit and try to eat off the blade, but it's just too small. It's too small to do it effectively. And while it opens boxes, it's just too small to manipulate to try to do, you know, tasks that are going to be those whittling and carving tasks, especially if we're using that X-Acto blade. So ones like these, they have a great versatility of carry. You can put them just about anywhere. This one's very nice and shiny. It's from Oceanus Brass. I like this a lot, but I don't really carry it. I just kind of hang it up in the shop somewhere. So easy carry, we'll give that a 5. These, you know, you can put them anywhere. But the blade doesn't do what we need it to do. Blades usually you have to go really big before the blade is so big it's not useful for a task. But a small blade just can't do a lot of things. So we'll give that blade a 1. And then as far as utility, you know, this one does not have a very easy way to change the blade, but I mean, certain knives like this do, so maybe there's some utility there, but really they're not sturdy enough to pry with. The blade's not big enough, you know, it doesn't help us in any other way. So utility is going to be a 1 on these small knives. So let's take a look at a fun one. Let's take a look at a Balisong or a butterfly knife. This is a knife that I've carried before just because it's kind of fun to carry. Know your laws, because these aren't legal in every state here, but you know, they are a knife and a fidget spinner, right? So a lot of different things that you can do with them there. As far as the size of them is concerned, it's like the utility knife. It's just a little too big to go into every pocket. I'm not going to put this in a vest or, you know, a jacket pocket. You know, I'm wearing a suit. I'm probably not taking this with me. So as far as the versatility of the pocket, we'll give that a 2. The blade, though, is a good blade. It's a good sized blade. You could eat the apple, you could open the package, you could carve and whittle, and you know, you need to pry a little bit with it. It's going to work for that. As far as utility goes, you know, other than if we're considering that it's a fidget spinner, it doesn't have much outside utility. Sure, I could use it as a Kobukon for self-defense, but as we've said, we're not really considering a butterfly knife as a self-defense tool. You know, the pocket knife, we would carry something else for that. So yeah, no other really outside utility. We'll give it a 2 there. So another knife that could be in your pocket, but not a great one. All right, let's consider these two, and we're going to call them very slim profile small pocket knives. These are two that I really like, and they come with me in a lot of places. This one is just an old single-bladed one by Winchester, so it says Winchester right on there, which is kind of nice and kind of cool. It locks. It is a small knife. It has that small blade. I could open a package. I could eat an apple. I could, you know, definitely do small carving tasks. It's about as small as it can be before it becomes unwieldy. As far as knife skills, like this one I'm showing you, maybe the blade, if it went just a hair further, such as this one. This one's by Hagano Kami. It is a Japanese folding sword, or pocket sword is what they call it. And you can see that blade is a little bit longer, you know, when we consider where it's sharp, but the profile is, even if anything, it's a little bit thinner, a little bit longer, but still, you know, I could put this anywhere. This just disappears in the pocket, as does that Winchester. Doesn't have a true lock there. It has this kind of thumb hold, so you know, if you're doing your things, but you could do your apple, you could do your opening and your carving with this knife very, very well. Versatility carry, you know, in the pocket for something like that is a 5. We're going to call the blade a 5. You can do all those tasks because, you know, again, we're looking at the kind of the type of knife, and you can definitely get a type of knife that's going to satisfy those requirements. The Winchester, like I said, I probably carry it a little bit more because I think it's a little bit cooler. But the Hagano Kami blade is just a little bit longer. Where it loses points, there's no real utility to this. It being so slim is nice. It can fit anywhere, but, you know, you lose out on maybe some of your abilities to pry. There's no, you know, other types of things. I'm not going to try to poke you with that or anything like that. So we'll call the utility, the versatility, a 2 on these. All right, we've considered a lot of pocket knives. You know, we've looked at, you know, things that are like folders or mini knives, traditional just kind of locking folding knives. They're smaller counterparts, utility knives, even, you know, Balisongs. But we haven't found one that really fits the bill and meets all the criteria and really knocks it out of the park. Well, don't worry, we have that. It's it's a knife like this, a little gentleman's knife or trapper knife. These are called a little different things. The thing that you were looking for is a small knife that is still slim. You can kind of compare this to our single bladed counterpart. It's just as slim. A little bit bigger than the super slims, but still of a size that it's going to disappear in just about any pocket. I think a knife like this one's by Schrad, I think, is very elegant looking. I think it is a great accoutrement or accompaniment to anything that you could be wearing. What makes these so functional is that they have multi-blades. Okay, so this particular one, there's a lot of them that they have 2 blades. This one has 3 blades, and it is kind of my favorite, and it's the one that I carry, 95% of the time. And what's nice about the 3 blades is you can see each blade is a slightly different style, so it's going to have a slightly different function. So my carving the apple, my opening the package, my whittling is where this really comes in handy. I have different blades that can kind of do different things, especially based on how they come to a point. That is super nice, so we're going to give it a 5 for how you can carry it. We're going to give it a 5 on those knife skills because it is 3 knives in one. Now, that is also the utility, because one of the things that we said was nice about the utility knife is the ability to change out a blade due to edge retention. You got 3 blades here. So, you can have a blade that you kind of do stuff that maybe you don't want to use all your blades for and keep other blades really super sharp. You have 3 blades that can retain edges before you have to go back and find, like a whetstone and a grinder and stuff to sharpen it. It's very solidly made. So you could definitely, do some pry work with this in a pinch. I of course carry other things for that type of thing, but this just the humble trapper knife. This is what I would say you should be carrying with you at all times, because this is going to do all your small knife tasks. It is going to go into any outfit that you are wearing, and it looks cool. This is a knife that just looks great. It is like I said, very, very elegant, very nice knife. So again, in the pocket as a 5, as a knife as a 5, and we'll call that utility a 4. So there you have it, a look at some various knives that you could keep in your pocket and, kind of how they rate and what they stack up. I think, nothing beats that trapper knife, that one with multiple blades there. It disappears nicely in the pocket. I have a lot of access, to different blade styles to do different things. I happen to have one in this vest, but I'm also carrying one in my pants pocket today. This one I like because it's got, the serrations on the blade here, and this other blade has this kind of tip here that sometimes in a pinch I can use it to tighten a screw or something like that. So I like these so much that I happen to have 2 of them on me today. The other thing that's super nice about them is I do carry, a traditional folding knife. This is my Recon One Tonto from Cold Steel. This is my workhouse knife. If I need to get a knife and I need to get it somewhat quickly and I need to do a task for it, especially a work task, I'm usually using this knife. And you can see I've used this one a lot and it is gunked up. As such, I don't want to cut food with it. Right? I don't want to eat the apple off of this knife. I don't want to, open food, cut food. So having a knife that's sort of dedicated to that, or a blade on here that's dedicated to that, is super nice. And that's another thing that I like about it. It's a cleaner blade. It just does a different job. So, that's why I have a pocket knife in addition to a folder. The folder gets used a lot more. It realistically opens the packages more than that little pocket knife, but nothing beats the pocket knife. And the folder sometimes doesn't carry as well and different things. So there's always room for this guy. So that's a look at pocket knives. Maybe next time we'll come back and we'll look at those more tactical folding knives.